Before Game 4, our model predicted Knicks 108, Spurs 107. The actual result was Knicks 107, Spurs 106. We nailed the winner and the margin to the point, so we're running it again for Game 5. And this time, I'll show you every single step. No hot takes, just 6 numbers and the math that turns them into a final score. The score, the win probability, and the over-under. Let's build it. Here's the plan. First, the 6 inputs the whole thing is built on. Then 5 steps. Pace, matchup efficiency, points, home court, and a series adjustment that hides the most interesting wrinkle in this entire matchup. Then the prediction itself. And finally, an honest look at how much we should actually trust it. Everything here is verified. So let's start with why you'd trust the model at all. This is Game is Culture. If you like predictions you can actually check the math on, hit subscribe. We're chasing 1,000. It's free and it genuinely helps. Now, why trust this thing? Why trust the model? Here's the only honest answer and it's specific. Before Game 4, this exact model predicted Knicks 108, Spurs 107, a 1-point Knicks win. The actual final score? Knicks 107, Spurs 106. We called the winner, we called the margin to the point, and we missed each team's total by a single basket. That's not a lucky guess. That's the process working, and you're about to see every step of it. Look at it side by side. Our prediction, Knicks 108, Spurs 107. The real result, Knicks 107, Spurs 106. Same winner, same 1-point margin. Each score off by exactly 1 point on a chaotic finals game that featured the largest comeback in the event's history. When a model gets that close to that much chaos, it's worth hearing what it says next. So here's what it says about Game 5. The 6 numbers. Everything starts with these. Each team's offensive rating, points scored per 100 possessions, their defensive rating, points allowed per 100, and their pace, how many possessions they play. Spurs offense, 119.6. Knicks offense, 119.8. Basically identical. The gap is on defense, where the Spurs allow 111 to the Knicks 113. So San Antonio is the better defensive team, and that matters. 2 quick notes on reading these. On offense, higher is better, so the Knicks 119.8 edges the Spurs by a fraction, a rounding error. On defense, lower is better because it's points you allow, so the Spurs 111.3 is clearly stronger than the Knicks 113.3. And the Spurs play a touch faster. Hold those 3 facts. They drive everything that follows. Step 1. Pace. First we figure out how many possessions this game will actually hold, because points come from possessions. The Spurs play at 99.9, the Knicks at 96.8. 2 teams meet somewhere in the middle, so we average them. 99.9 plus 96.8 divided by 2 gives us 98 possessions for each team. That's our engine. Everything else is just deciding how many points come off those 98 trips. Step 2. Matchup efficiency. This is the smartest step. A team's offensive rating is built against average defenses, but they're not playing an average defense. They're playing this specific opponent, so we adjust. We take each team's offense and multiply it by the other team's defense divided by the league average. If the opponent's defense is better than average, that fraction is less than 1, and it drags the offense down. Good defense literally shrinks the other team's scoring. That's the whole idea. Run the numbers. The Spurs offense, 119.6 times the Knicks defense over league average comes out to 117. The Knicks offense, 119.8 times the Spurs tougher defense over league average drops to 115.1. Notice what happened. They started nearly tied on offense, but because the Spurs defend better, the Knicks number fell further. The defense gap just became a 2-point swing.
Step 3 turns efficiency into actual points. These ratings are per 100 possessions, but our game only has 98, so we scale them down. 117 on 98 possessions is about 115 points for the Spurs. 115.1 becomes about 113 for the Knicks. So on the raw season math, before anything else, it's Spurs 115, Knicks 113. Step 4 is home court, and it's small but real. Across the league, playing at home is worth roughly 1.5 points. Game 5 is in San Antonio, so we nudge the Spurs up by about 1.4 and the Knicks down by the same. It's not huge, but in a game the model already sees as a 2-point margin, 1.5 points is the difference between a comfortable read and a coin flip. So now San Antonio's edge grows. Step 5, the series wrinkle. Now the most important adjustment. The season numbers describe 82 games against everyone, but we've actually watched these two teams play 4 times. So we blend 55% weight on the season model, 45% on what's happened in this series. And here's where it gets strange, because the series tells a very different story than the season does. In the 4 games of this series, the Knicks have actually outscored the Spurs on average, 107 to 105. So the team the season model likes slightly, San Antonio, has been the lower scoring team head to head. That's why we don't just trust the season. The series is pulling the prediction toward the Knicks, even as the season pushes it toward the Spurs. These two forces fight, and the blend settles it. But here's the catch that makes this pick scary, and it's the number you should screenshot. The Spurs are 0-2 at home in this series, and 1-0 on the road. Look at their scoring. On the road, they're putting up 110.5 a game. At home, where they play Game 5, just 99.5. An 11-point drop-off in their own building. This team has been worse at home all series long. So put it together, the season model leans Spurs, the series scoring leans Knicks. The Spurs have been awful at home and great on the road, and now they're home. By every storyline, you'd talk yourself onto the Knicks. But when you actually run the blend, 55% season, 45% series, plus that home court bump, the math still comes out leaning San Antonio. The model sees a Spurs team that's elite on paper and finally desperate, facing elimination. The prediction. So here it is, our model's final score for Game 5. The San Antonio Spurs, 111. The New York Knicks, 108. A 3-point Spurs win at home with their season ending if they lose. The same team that's been a disaster in its own building all series is by the numbers the pick to finally protect it. The win probability lands at 58% for the Spurs, and I want to be clear about what that means. 58% is an edge, not a lock. It says if this exact game were played 10 times, the Spurs win about 6 of them and lose about 4. That's a lean, not a guarantee. Anyone who tells you a single basketball game is a sure thing is selling something. And the two scores add up to a total of 219, which is our over-under. If you put 111 and 108 together, you get a relatively low-scoring, grinded-out game, which fits a desperate elimination night where every possession tightens up. The headline? The Spurs win, force a Game 6, and send this series back to New York. The honest part. Now the part most prediction channels skip. A single NBA game has a margin error of around 13 points. That means our 3-point Spurs win is really the center of a wide range of outcomes. A Knicks blowout is on the table. A Spurs blowout is on the table. The honest way to read this isn't Spurs win by 3. It's the Spurs are the slight favorite and the most likely single result is a close San Antonio win. Treat it as a best estimate, not a prophecy. And that's exactly why we publish it before tip-off and grade it after. A model only earns trust if you can hold it accountable. So this is us, on the record. Spurs 111, Knicks 108, 58%, total 219. Right after the final buzzer, we'll come back, put our prediction next to the real result, and show you exactly how close the math got. No hiding from it. So that's the full model. 6 numbers, 5 steps, and a prediction of Spurs 111, Knicks 108, with the Spurs stealing Game 5 at home to force a Game 6. Now I want yours. Drop your final score in the comments before the game and we'll grade both, the model and you, right after the buzzer. If you want to see how accurate it was, subscribe and join the family.